Last year, Vice visited Haiti to report on the massive deforestation of the country to fuel the black market charcoal business. Our reporters, while they were there, were shocked at how devastated Haiti still looked 5 years after the earthquake. Almost $10 billion in relief aid had been pledged from around the world, yet many parts of Port-au-Prince still look like the earthquake struck just yesterday. So we sent Vikram Gandhi back to Haiti to see how one of the world's largest ever relief efforts could fall so far short.
When a 7.0 earthquake struck Haiti in January 2010, an estimated 316,000 people were killed, and another 2 million were forced from their homes. When disasters like this strike, the natural human impulse is to want to help. But even after billions of dollars in foreign aid, 5 years later, hundreds of thousands of survivors are still displaced. At Delma 33, their camp coordinator gave us a look at their living conditions. This is a tent city that's been in effect for the last 4.5 years. We're going to check out what it's like to be a refugee of the earthquake. So what are these homes made of? Does anyone have electricity, plumbing, or running water here?
Non, pas de courant. Et deuxièmement, je dois acheter un camion et puis communauté internationale n'a pas aidé dans ce sens encore.
When you moved here, how long did you think you were going to stay?
Bon, pas possible d'en faire même 1 an là, mais comme ça moi je vais dire d'être.
Worse than $10 billion of aid, not providing these survivors with long-term housing, electricity, or drinkable water. It didn't even provide them with a functioning toilet. This is the reality of Haitian sanitation. So inevitably, human waste gets into the water supply. This is not just disgusting, it's potentially deadly. In fact, a year after the earthquake, Haiti suffered the world's largest modern outbreak of cholera. It was actually brought there by UN foreign relief workers whose waste contaminated local water supplies. With 700,000 people infected and nearly 9,000 deaths, we learned from Dr. Jean Papet that new cases of this easily preventable infection are still popping up. What's the relationship of cholera spreading and the lack of sanitation?
Oh, it's huge. Essentially, in a place where you don't have adequate latrines, where people don't have water to wash their hands, it's going to spread like wildfire, like it did here.
With the long-term relief aid in Port-au-Prince appearing to be completely squandered, we spoke to Jake Johnston, whose 5-year investigation into Haiti relief funds has made him the premier economic researcher on following the money trail. After the earthquake, millions of Americans started donating to help Haiti. Where did all that money go?
You know, in terms of private donations, most of it goes through emergency response, clearing rubble, clean water, some basic health, food aid. The long-term or development aid, that comes mostly from the donor governments. The US government, the leaders of the development banks, all had the slogan, build back better. This was supposed to be different. This was the opportunity, $10 billion on the table. The big question that's on everyone's mind is, where did the money go? And I think that's when we enter this sort of black box. Congress appropriates money to USAID, and then USAID contracts other organizations, both for-profit and non-for-profit, that actually implement the programs on the ground. For every dollar that USAID spends, less than a penny actually goes directly to any Haitian organization, Haitian company, Haitian government. Rather than giving money to local companies, things were imported. So we imported cement, we imported the foreign experts, we imported the construction companies to actually build them. Right after the earthquake, they had an ambitious housing program. So they had planned to build about 15,000 houses. It cost about $53 million. The cost ballooned to $93 million. And instead of 15,000 houses, there would be 2,600 houses. You know, at the same time, the U.S. Embassy gave a contract for over $70 million to build townhouses with pools for their own staff. That's that fundamental divide between what we think of as aid and helping those in need and how our system actually works.
And while we built plenty of homes for our own people, we didn't seem to build many for the survivors who needed them. That's because of plans like the Zaranger Housing Expo, which was one of the first approved reconstruction projects headed by Bill Clinton and the Interim Haiti Recovery Commission. The basic idea of Zaranger is a $2.4 million showroom international firms competed to sell their prototypes with the hopes of winning a contract for mass production. So behind me are model homes. None of them have any plumbing, electricity, or running water. But what happened after the expo is people moved in, they occupied this property, and now it's become a fully functioning town. Camille Chalmers, an affordable housing activist, gave us some insight on how viable the houses actually were. This seems like a log cabin you might find like by Yellowstone National Park. Did you think there was ever a chance that these were going to be built in Haiti?
Non, non. D'abord, bois très cher, c'est le sait. En plus, nous avons une crise au niveau écologique qui fait que nous n'avons pas grand pile disponibilité en termes de bois.
What do you make of this one?
Non, ça c'est vraiment horrible.
This is one of my personal favorites. It looks like something from like Martha's Vineyard.
C'est intéressant, mais que, par contre, c'est son caille qui est très résistant pour cyclone.
Are you telling me that they didn't talk to people from Haiti before they came here to try to sell these houses?
Non, non, et c'était rapidement proposé un modèle et font comme.
That house, that's some hippie shit right there.
Non, ça c'est spectaculaire, vraiment.
How many homes were actually built for Haitians based on any of these model homes?
Zéro, pas gain du tout, pas gain.
So not only were no real homes built, but the survivors are left in the same primitive conditions as the refugee camps, squatting in a permanent reminder of what our aid intended to give them. But this squat is nothing compared to what we saw in the mountains of Kanab. With limited options in the city, survivors began building their own homes in this formerly barren land. Now, what began as a refugee camp is so big that if recognized, it would qualify as one of Haiti's largest cities. So this place has all been built up in the last 4 years. This was supposed to be temporary, but very soon it became permanent. And as we learned from community organizer Renel Sanon, these people were left to fend for themselves.
Bon, si t'as pas aucune aide canaran, c'est côté moun yo avec ti jen fo yo fait ni ONG ni gouvernement pour aider moun yo construire.
What's odd is that the Haitians who received little to no foreign aid actually seem to be doing better than those in the designated relief areas. Did you build this house?
Oui, moi, madame, moi, car une garage. Nous dégagez nous.
Did you get any help from the government or any NGOs?
Moi pour compte moi là-dedans parce que m'pa gen gouvernement ensemble avec m'pa gen personne.
These people too lack simple amenities like toilets and clean drinking water. And to make matters worse for the squatters, the Haitian government has cracked down on land rights, leading to constant disputes and forced evictions.
300,000 moun k'ap viv dans une communauté qui pas faite pour moun et dans conditions pas faites pour moun vivre.
But there was one permanent structure that was built here for the earthquake survivors. For some reason, the International Olympic Committee thought that these people could use an $18 million state-of-the-art soccer field and recreation center, adding insult to injury in a community lacking even the most basic amenities. But this wasn't the only strange reconstruction project we saw foreign aid invested in. 7 hours north of the earthquake, over $300 million of foreign aid was spent in the district of Caracol. So we've learned that a lot of the earthquake aid money came to Caracol. Where was this town affected by the earthquake?
Caracol pas gen moun directement qui victime, moun parce que ville là pas attaqué.
But even though the town wasn't affected, it didn't stop our government aid from being invested in another soccer field. Even for the things that made sense, the price tag didn't seem to match the product. How much did this cost to build?
$2,900,000.
$2.9 million.
Yes.
And when we checked, the State Department actually spent $2.3 million, but it was still hard to understand how it could cost so much. And when we looked at the costs of many other projects, we noticed the same contractor kept coming up.
Chemonics is the largest USAID recipient across the world. But Chemonics actually got their big break in Afghanistan. Chemonics was one of the largest recipients of that pool of money as well. Since that point, there's been a number of audits that have showed lack of progress, a lack of oversight. Here, this is a contract of Chemonics with USAID to all the cost information throughout the contract. That's all redacted, and we just have pink sheet after pink sheet. In fact, 25 pink sheets.
And once again, no one bothered to ask the locals what they needed. When Humanics comes here to build things, how do they consult with you and the other people who live here? So what's this place?
Un centre culturel construit par C.Ed Peuple américain via Humanics.
Does everybody have running water, flush toilets, and plumbing?
Non, non. Jusqu'à présent, là, c'est à terre fait besoin. Et puis, pas de l'eau, parce qu'après, choléra, nous obligés d'acheter de l'eau pour boire.
As a mayor, would you have rather had plumbing and running water as opposed to the cultural center and the football park?
C'est vrai que vous réalisez un paquet de bagages dans la zone, mais c'est pas vrai besoin.
So we built them an overpriced police station, another soccer field, and a cultural center we couldn't even get into. But we soon found out the real reason a town so far from the actual disaster would get so much aid. USAID's real investment here is the more than $260 million spent for the Caracol Industrial Park, the largest U.S. development project in the aftermath of the earthquake. So if you look around, this whole place doesn't even look like Haiti. It looks like America. I mean, there's paved streets, there's sidewalks, there's electricity, and there's drinkable running water, which is actually unheard of in Haiti. Unfortunately, it only provides roughly 10% of the jobs it promised, and its main tenant is a South Korean garment manufacturing company, which enjoys cheap labor, tax exemptions, and duty-free access to the U.S. market. Worst of all, none of the employees we met were earthquake survivors, and the plan for the park was drawn up before the disaster even happened. USAID declined a request for an interview. We were, however, able to talk to USAID's former deputy director, Diana Alba, about the issues that plague our aid system.
In a case like Haiti, I think there are a few things that prevent USAID from doing the things it would like to do in a perfect world. The first is the web of confusing, conflicting, and archaic laws that hem in our ability to carry out activities. They require that we spend money in certain ways, even if those aren't the things that the people of Haiti actually want and need. 5 years after the earthquake, what USAID should be doing is helping Haitians achieve their own goals in terms of education, health, infrastructure. We shouldn't be doing for them, we should be doing with them. But Haiti has a number of very serious problems with corruption, political inefficiency, political turmoil. You need a government that represents the will of the people and that has the capacity to act. And sometimes will and capacity are both missing.
While many attempts to reform this system have been made, to date nothing has changed. And the result is the failed disaster capitalism we see in Haiti, where aid has become an industry of for-profit companies. In fact, only a month after the earthquake, our own U.S. ambassador was quoted in a leaked document claiming the gold rush is on. And now these same companies are using lobbying groups to ensure reforms never come.
You know, it's often said that waste, inefficiency, corruption, these are problems that are unique to the developing world, that are unique to Haiti. And the reality is that these are actually fundamental aspects of the U.S. foreign aid complex. Instead of relying on potentially corrupt money, we simply give it to U.S. companies and allow them to take 25% off the top. It's a different form of corruption. You know, without realizing that, then, you know, we'll continue to make the same mistakes again going forward.